welcome to episode 52 of Pacific Horseplayers right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Noah. We got Jackson. We got Ryan. They've already done a ton of shows tonight. It's Tuesday night. We're filming this. I know they've done a bunch of shows. This is my first show of the night, and unfortunately, I think I might be getting sick. So it might not sound like I'm excited about these races, but I am very, very excited to get into the races that we're going to be covering tonight. Of course, tonight we'll be covering races 4, 5, 6, and 7 on Saturday at the Breeders' Cup, and Jackson's going to do a little demonstration for us. But anyway, as we're doing that, we can go ahead and get through our peripherals. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We've got our regular Power Picks tip sheet that you can go and subscribe to. Very, very affordable, very profitable as well. And not only do we have those, our 2025 Breeders' Cup Power Picks tip sheet is still available and is on sale now, $35 for current standard Power Picks subscribers, and I believe $45 for non-current standard Power Picks subscribers. So you can go to our website to go ahead and purchase those. Like I said, we're filming this on Tuesday night, so you have until Wednesday night at midnight to go ahead and do that, and you can do that at our website right there, HHH Racing Podcast.com. I think that's everything that we need to take care of. We can go ahead and get into the races, but let's check in with the two boys that have kind of done 6 or 7 shows already. How are we doing?
Fantastic. I'm so tired, but we talked about it a little with Bernier. I love this stuff. It's awesome. This is the week. Like, if you're ever going to do it, it's the Breeders' Cup week. We got the best horses in the world coming from all over the place, meeting at Del Mar, and it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, Ryan, I have to imagine if us two at the top are exhausted, I have to imagine that you are exhausted as well, because it seems like you've been up texting us at 8 o'clock my time, which is 5 o'clock your time, for about the last 5 days or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, Jackson said it. If there's ever a time to take your battery all the way to zero, it's for Breeders' Cup. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm exhausted, but getting to be at Del Mar every morning and working for whether it's FanDuel, Breeders' Cup, or Del Mar has been awesome, seeing all the horses in the morning. And then obviously we got to do our content in the afternoon. We got to go through all the races. Thanks to all the wonderful guests that joined us. I mean, it's been a ton of fun. I have a lot more work to do. I don't know how many hours I have till Breeders' Cup, but I think I'm busy for all of them. But I can't wait, man. I'll rest on November 3rd because November 2nd, that Sunday show at Del Mar. Good luck to everybody. Don't listen to my picks probably, but I'll do my best.
Well, without further ado, we can go ahead and get into the races. Again, we're covering races 4 through 7 on Saturday. This is the first race that we're covering. It's the PNC Bank Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. Of course, it's a grade 1. They're all grade 1s. This starts a plethora of bets that you will find this weekend, including a pick 4, an all-dirt pick 4. They got 50-cent pick 3s, $2 pick 6. I know Ryan's excited about that. So you can go to the Breeders' Cup wagering menu to find out more about what bets you can be investing in this weekend. So let's get things started. Filly and Mare Sprint is on the screen now. Scroll down to the field of 10 in the morning line favorite made by our good buddy David Aragona. 2-1, and that's a 6 Sweet Azteca for Juan Hernandez and Richie Baltas. She's at 2-1. Second choice, the Spendthrift Filly Tamara, Mike Smith, and Richard Mandel at 7-2. And then the third choice, the 8, Hope Road for Jose Ortiz and Bob Baffert. Bob Baffert's got 3 in this field. And let's see who we are going with to kick off the show. I'm going 2-6-8. Jackson's going 8-9-6, and Ryan's going 8-9-10. So a lot of love with the 8s, crazy 8s from these two gentlemen beside me. Jackson, we'll start with you. Hope Road, impressive winner last time at Saratoga. I guess the question is whether she's going to be able to do it again on Saturday.
Yeah, look, I felt like this race was – I didn't want to overthink this race. I didn't want to overcomplicate it, and I don't think Tamara is quite this good, especially at the price she's going to be. 7-2 I think is wild. She has not ever run a race that's nearly fast enough to win this thing, and you are banking on a significant improvement from her at a short price. So I don't need her in this spot. And Sweet Azteca, I have questions about too. I know she's run fast numbers, but 2 of those big numbers have come at low sal. The form doesn't necessarily always translate over. And 2 of the other numbers came when she had really easy leads on slow paces. None of those circumstances are happening on Saturday. This is going to be a fast pace. It's going to be a true test. This is a very good field. And at 2-1, I don't really need her either. And she has Hall and Ice to her outside, who's going to be hounding her every step of the way. So I went to their outside Hope Road, who I think is just sitting on a very similar trip to what we saw in the Grade 1 Ballerina this summer at Saratoga, when she was just parked on the outside. She was a length or two off of the lead. Let those horses do their thing. Let them get in each other's way, tire themselves out. She's going to be the one stays out of any kind of trouble. She's going to be in the clear. She's going to get first run. And I do think she's the fastest horse in the race, and I do think she is the classiest horse in the race. So give me Hope Road at 4-1. I think that's a very, very generous price.
Ryan, I have to assume that Hope Road's probably going to be the closest or more tactical out of the Baffert trio. Would you agree with that statement?
Most likely. I mean, I think all three of these Bafferts, Hope Road's kind of the proven sprint specialist in here. You have a horse like Ricci to this one's outside. Definitely has some speed, and I think the cutback, I think she'll still be forward. I think they can all sit a similar trip, but I'm with Jackson. Don't overthink it. This is clearly the proven horse at this distance and this trip, and she's in a really good vein of form right now. So obviously draw a line through the winning colors. 7 furlongs seems to be the distance that she prefers. That last one, the Ballerina, was a good one. If she doesn't win, it's probably going to be chaos. This race is either chaos or it's kind of straightforward. Hope Road seems like the straightforward choice to me. She's going to sit a good trip, and she'll get the job.
All right, if I do anything on the show, it is provide this stat that I work tirelessly providing for us today. I know I sent it to you guys earlier, but I feel like I should probably.
I didn't read it.
If anyone's going to win an award for the worst handwriting I've ever seen, this stat sent us a picture.
I was in the car.
Check out this stat, right? And it was a picture of his handwriting. It could have been.
There are hieroglyphics in Egypt that are clearer to read. I mean,
whatever. I'll just read it to you guys. All right. So
Please.
Travers Day, August 23rd. They had an all-dirt pick 5. I know it was a big thing, obviously, when shows were made and content was produced. Everyone was talking about the all-dirt pick 5, which were races 9 through 13 at Saratoga. You ready for this? 37 runners in those 5 races. There have been 21 runbacks, and only 2 of them have come back to win, which is 9.5%. I rounded it down to 9 just for the emphasis and exaggeration. So 19 of those horses have lost. Of those 19, 11 have been favored in their subsequent start, and 7 of those favorites lost at odds on. So you want to hear the 7? We have Anna, who lost at 1-2. We have Dazzling Move, who lost at 4-5. We have Randomize, who lost at 2-5. Captain Cook, who came back and lost at 4-5, who got beat by Barnes, but Barnes had previously lost at 2-5 at Parks. And then you have Midland Money, who lost this past weekend. And then the most shocking one of all, frankly, in my opinion, was Most Wanted, who lost at 1-5 at Churchill. I was actually there. I don't know what to take from it. I'm going to be a little bit hesitant with these August 23rd races, especially with horses that are coming in from there and don't have a start and are just training up. With that being said, I completely agree with everything you guys said. I mean, in addition to what you guys have said, I mean, she obviously loves it here at Del Mar. She's proved it at Churchill and at Saratoga. I thought her race in the Derby City Distaff, I was there that day. I thought she ran very, very well and beat Ways and Means, but just couldn't quite hold off the almighty Copian. So she makes a ton of sense. She's going to sit right off the speed. I think 4-1 is a pretty good price on her. You guys have the 9 in the mix, which I guess is the other Baffert and Ricci. Saez takes them out. I'm not exactly sure where Fresu is in this race, and maybe you guys can help me out with that a little bit. But I have to assume she'll probably be maybe middle of the pack if I have to guess, Ryan. Is that something that you could see happening?
Maybe she's middle of the pack, but it would not surprise me to see her maybe a little more forward in a spot like this. Fresu's not on any mounts in this race. Fresu just got replaced by Luis Saez, and I do think that's interesting and maybe a little bit telling. Obviously, Saez is a world-class jockey. Fresu typically stays out west. I got to give, I do think that even though with the cutback in speed, I think this one, I think she likes sprinting a little bit more. Jackson's has brought up a really good point of, she makes that move around the 6-7 furlong pole and then just kind of flattens out. I agree, and I echo that statement. So I'm not sure where she's going to be. She could sit the same trip as Hope Road, but I also think she has a chance to maybe be up a little bit closer to the lead and, maybe half length ahead of Hope Road even. I just think Hope Road is a better horse.
Yeah, Jackson, according to the group, she's lost to 2 Breeders' Cup Distaff winners in Seismic Beauty and Cavalieri in her last 2. She actually lost to Cavalieri.
3 if you include Copian.
Yeah, that's
so.
That would be right. But obviously you like her a little bit too. Do you see her kind of making that middle move as Ryan intended?
I think so, right? On the cutback, Baffert has other horses in here like Hope Road who are probably going to be closer than she will. She'll probably be in that second or third flight. And like Ryan said, I do think 7 furlongs might just be her best game. I'm just not sure she's quite as good as Hope Road, but if you're looking for someone to pick up the pieces late and maybe nail them at the wire if this thing falls apart, she does seem like the most likely horse to come running late.
Yeah,
very consistent.
Yeah, she is very, very consistent. And when she got brought over from overseas, from South America, that's originally what she had started with the States in those first couple of races. But she had gone long previously. I mean, she was in that Group 1 Hippodroma way back in December of 23. Bob started her sprinting, stretched her out, and has run some fine races. I mean, she's got races on the page that would definitely contend with the who's the name of this thing? Sweet Aztecas of the world and all that. So I think she's got a big shot. I want to hear what you guys have to say about the 2, because I think Splendora is a little bit interesting. She's just kind of been in the shadow of these other Baffords, I feel, where some of these races where she's gone long, I mean, she was just off of Ricci, who was a favorite that day. Same thing with Seismic Beauty when she lost in the Santa Margarita. I know the number was light in that optional claiming race, going 6 furlongs at Del Mar, but she really proved that she could kind of handle some adversity. That was not an ideal trip, and I know the number is a little bit slow, but then she came back and backed it up with a Hunter Buyer. The 123 time form, I think, is kind of right there with everybody else. I don't know if she's necessarily maybe a 1-number horse. I guess that would be the concern, but she's a little bit undiscovered. They've trained up to this race. She's never been defeated here at Del Mar. It looks like she's working fantastic in the morning. And I feel like if you're going to trust anybody to take a mount like this, it's going to be Flavia Pratt. So I thought the Saez mount for Ricci was a little interesting. I thought this one was very, very interesting, and I could see her getting a pretty good trip maybe just in the pocket. Is she just a little too slow for these, or what do you guys think?
I think when push comes to shove, she's just not quite as good as the other Baffords. What kind of trip do you think she's going to get? Do you think she's going to be within a length of trip lead, or is she going to be making that one run from out of it?
I have to assume she's probably going to be pretty close just with the inside post. I know she doesn't have to be flying out of there just because they're going 7 versus the boys are going 6. So I would have to imagine Pratt's going to have her maybe just off the lead. I know she likes to definitely be close. I hope she gets a similar trip to the one she got in that optional allowance race where she's maybe a length and a half off of it. But she's definitely going to have to work out a trip and things are going to have to go her way. But it's kind of bet in the price, you know?
Yeah. And obviously you don't have Tamara anywhere either. Are you kind of for the same reasons we mentioned, or do you have other reasons for that?
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of gather a list of the worst bets of the weekend. And I think she's at the top. She's not at the top of the list.
Yeah.
She's pretty much there because have you guys seen that Chillingworth field? That Chillingworth field is a joke. And the horses to her outside didn't show any speed at all in that race, and she got about as easy of a trip as you could see from anybody. I mean, she's got Sweet Azteca to her outside, Hall and Ice to her outside, Hope Road and Ricci are not slow. Praying's not slow. There's just no way that she gets in any world the trip that she got last time. And I'm with you. I mean, do I want to find out if she's going to step up her game off of a very, very soft trip, off of a very long layoff at 7-2? That's a no thank you for me.
And it's not even like if she takes this 5-figure jump forward, like that doesn't automatically put her in the winner's circle. She may still be third if she runs 100 Buyer in this race. So that's a crazy price.
Right. You got any thoughts on her or the 10, who I think is probably the last one we have to mention, Praying, who I kind of mentioned is probably going to be a little bit of a pace presence, but she's getting good at the right time too. So, I mean, why wouldn't you want to find out if she's getting good at the right time at 20-1 versus a horse like Tamara at 7-2?
I honestly, this might be crazy, but assuming Hall and Ice is also in the gate, I would argue that Sweet Azteca is a worse bet than Tamara. And only because every time that she has been on a fast pace, she crumbles. She needs to have things her own way. And Tamara at least, can pass horses. So I don't know who finishes ahead of the other between those two, but I'm using neither of them. Both of them can beat me. Praying, I just think, is a little bit interesting, right? Had the majority of the summer off since that optional claiming event back in May. And then came back in the grade 3 Prioress, which is a bit of an aggressive spot off of a 23 Buyer, basically eased in that last event, and came out close into a slow pace, which I like to see, but drew off like a nice thing, and then came right back in the TCA stakes at Keeneland and won again, both at prices. Jockey switched to Johnny V. Johnny V keeps the mount here. Obviously, you got to love those Vacomas. But on top of that, this is one that can stalk the pace and has shown, some progression. And to quote Jackson, she's paired up those buyer tops. So a move forward can get her close. I don't think she's a win candidate, but I might key her underneath and get a little cute in some trifectas and supers. There's super high fives in every race too, so might as well. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to play that because that's a mess in a race like this. But she's certainly an underneath candidate that I think can spice things up. I'm definitely going to be all Hope Road on the top end though.
Jackson, you like anybody else in this race or anyone else we should mention? I tried to take long looks at Lava and Zeitlos. I know Zeitlos had a little bit of trouble last time, and Lava's kind of a 7 furlong specialist, but I couldn't get on board with either of those, and maybe that's why I'm underestimating Praying a little bit, but I just don't think the TCA was a really great race this year.
Yeah, Lava's done. I guess if the thing completely falls apart, Xylos can do a Soul of an Angel from last year. But other than that, no.
All right, cool. So we can go ahead and move on. In the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint, I'm going 2-6-8. Jackson's going 8-9-6, and Ryan's going 8-9-10. Next race that we're going to be talking about, I don't know what these guys are all giggly for. It must be all the shows that they did earlier.
They were delirious.
Race 5 is the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and let me get that up on the screen now. There it is. Prevagen Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, 5 furlongs on this Del Mar turf course. We talked about it time and time again, how important it is to save ground and get trips in these very, very short one-turn races at Del Mar. You can see the field on the screen now, and the horse that was supposedly scratched for about 24 hours happens to be the morning line favorite and the number 1 Notorious for Antonio Fresu and Phil D'Amato. Second choice is the 5-year-old Mare AG Bullet, or Silver Bullet, as Ryan would like to say, for Johnny V and Richie Baltus. And then the third choice is the number 3, Arizona Blaze, David Egan, and Murray, the conditioner. There are picks up on the screen. I'm going 1-8-5. Jackson's going 8-2-5, and Ryan's going 3-1-2. Ryan, you're going with the Euro Runner. Now, I've heard from some pretty smart people on our podcast and your podcast that let's put the words that they use. These Euro sprinters are rubbish, and they're not all that good. Keep beating up on each other. Not a lot of consistency within that group. And he's a 3-year-old, and you're going with him.
Yeah, look, I respect the words of Davey Lane and Emmett Kennedy, and they don't ever mince words with us, and I think that's kind of why we love having them on the show. All that to be said, Arizona Blaze has kind of skirted that path that they alluded to, where Champions Day at Ascot, where the sprinters just did not show up. 100-1, 200-1, they blew up the tote. This one went to Irish Championship Day at the Curragh. Has held his form pretty nicely. Yes, in the Nunthorpe, lost, finished 11th by 5 lengths. To Asphora, who I don't know the odds on that horse, but failed as the favorite. So nonetheless, that's a little bit disappointing. But you come here, this horse has a run over this 5 furlong Del Mar turf course. Ran really well in this event last year to finish a hard closing second. Now gets the jockey booking of David Egan, who has been aboard for each of her last races since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. This one's going to save ground. Drew really nicely. I've said it on a few shows today, but I'll say it on this one. Both turf sprints last year, Juvenile Turf Sprint and the Turf Sprint on Saturday, 1 from post positions 1 through 4, and the Exacta also 1 through 4. So again, saving ground makes all the difference in a race like this, and that's exactly why I went with the 3-1-2. All 3 of those horses have big shots in here as well. Arizona Blaze, I think, has the biggest shot of them all. Should sit a really nice trip, can be a little bit more forward than the likes of Notorious. And then I don't know that Reef Runner necessarily classes up to these, but I think Arizona Blaze is going to get the job done.
Jackson, do you have some sort of opinion, positive or negative, about some of these Euros and their chances against the U.S. contingent, or you kind of defaulting to what we've heard from Emmett and Davey and just assuming that they're maybe not as strong as previous years?
I guess you could say I just don't love any of them. They're just fine. They're okay. I think at the prices, especially this horse in particular, is going to be relative to Notorious or AG Bullet or Reef Runner even. I would prefer the American horses a lot more than this horse. This is not a race they've historically done well in, the Euros. And the fact that they're saying that their horses this year are not that good, I think just tells me everything that I need to know.
Well, here's an American runner that I know you've been a fan of for quite a while. This is a 5 furlong, not 8 furlongs. But anyway, AG Bullet, Richie Baltus, Johnny V had a very, very nice win last time, I thought, in the ladies turf sprint down at Kentucky Downs, and she's shown some similar form before. Obviously, you've been a big fan of her for a while, and I think if she wins, you're going to be a happy man on Saturday.
Yeah, I was hoping to. Well, maybe I'll still get my fillies versus the boys to Dublin. We'll see after Kobe and Drew the rail. But I do think AG Bullet. Look, she ran really well in this race last year, and obviously Motorius comes out of the same race, but that race just completely fell apart when Cogburn tried to open up on that field. She was the one that moved first into that pace. She tried to break that race open top the stretch and just couldn't quite sustain that move, but ran really well to be third. I think this year she'll be a little bit closer than she was last year. I don't think they'll go nearly as fast as they did last year. As you can see right there, the gray horse on the outside, she just gets run down late by a couple horses that came from the clouds, and she ran fine. She ran very respectfully last year. But I love where she drew in this race. I think Starlust, yeah. I love where she drew in this race. I think drawing post 8, but most importantly, she's drawn outside of horses like Bring the Band Home and like Governor Sam, who are probably the two that are going to contest the pace. I would imagine that the plan is to just let those two go and just follow them, tuck in right behind them, and I assume she's just going to go right on by when they get to the top of the stretch, and we'll see what she's got coming down the lane. Look, I think her last 2 races too are also really good. She won the Jaipur Fair convincingly, and the ladies turf sprint, as you kind of alluded to, was really damn impressive. I know she loves Kentucky Downs, but that was a pace that completely fell apart, and she was the only one who hung around. And it's not like she's a neat lead type either. She's more than capable of sitting a length or 2 off the pace and still being effective. So I view her as the most likely winner, and at 4-1 as the second choice. That's a bet I definitely have to make.
Yeah, I've really been on the fence with her because at one point I feel like her races that are the best on her page are at Kentucky Downs, and other races where she's gotten big figs have been with good trips. Like I've been a little skeptical of the Jaipur just because it seemed like it was a 2-horse race between her and Think Big, and Think Big didn't run a step. And once that happened, I mean, she was probably 3-5 to beat that field. I mean, I know Allegon's a pretty decent turf sprinter out up in Canada on the East Coast, but I mean, the rest of that Jaipur field was kind of a joke. I mean, I'm not sure you could really categorize that as a grade 1 field, but at the same time, I'm just kind of going through this field and poking some major holes. I mean, even not on her best day, I feel like others that are on their best day are maybe just not as good as she is. So I've got her in second for those reasons. I really kind of think it's dominated by the 1 and the 8, and I kind of feel like it's a bit of a drop off. I mean, I've got the 5 and third, who has run some big races before, but boy, was he bad at Woodbine. But we'll talk about him in a little bit. But I'd be willing to take a chance with maybe the 1 and the 8 and get out. And the one who I do have on top and Ryan's got in second, a little curious why Jackson doesn't have him at all, and I'm a little bit hurt by that, is the mighty Motorius, who was second in this race last year. We saw the replay, and then it's really done nothing wrong since then. He had a win in the Hernandez, followed by a win in the Daytona, and then last time in the Green Flash, I thought was very, very impressive. Ryan, we were doing a live show that day, and I thought he ran huge considering Reef Runner and Beyond Brilliant were on the rail for at least 2.5, maybe 3 furlongs that day. I know Paco had done his shenanigans and got from the 12 hole to the 1 hole. So that's how he ended up getting a good trip and working that out. And then he backed it up with good effort last time and was able to get himself into this race. But the way I see it, really only validates the form of Motorius. And I think if push comes to shove, he's probably the most likely winner. Guaranteed that he's going to come from way out of it. But gun to my head, I pick him.
Yeah, I think Jackson doesn't have Motorius in there just because the rail draw is a little bit tough, and that's kind of why I didn't pick this horse on top. The more I looked at this race, obviously saving grounds of importance, and Motorius broke from the rail last year, finished second by a nose, second by a neck. Look, Motorius he should win this race. This is his race. This is his home track. He's not meeting any world beater turf sprinters in the world, but last year he was 12-1. Now you're going to get probably the favorite, maybe the second choice. The price isn't going to be there this year. And, He hasn't quite gotten the job done in this race yet. He's been close. He's been knocking on the door, and you can argue he's in a really good vein of form right now, maybe even better than what he came into this with last year. I just had to go elsewhere. He's going to be on all my tickets. I just wanted Arizona Blaze on top.
My counter would be, wouldn't the Appleby runner from last year be like 8-5 in this race? Isn't this a lot easier company than what those two had to face last year?
Well, sure, but where did that Appleby? I mean, they beat her. They beat the Appleby running home last time, fairly convincingly. So, yeah, I get that point. But I mean, if Starlust was in here, forget about it, right? No, but in all seriousness, turf sprints are volatile. Like they can go any sort of way. You have to get a split. You have to get the right kind of trip. So many things have to go right. Taking a short price on Motorius, because I do think he's going to take a little bit more money than that 7-2, maybe like 3-1. I could see possibly 5-2. I'm curious how this race gets bet. And again, he's very talented, but I just kind of want to go elsewhere on top.
My thing with him is if I have Motorius at 7-2, and I have AG Bullet at 4-1, they're basically as fast on numbers. They're the same. They run the same race every time. AG Bullet is way more likely to get a better trip in this race than Motorius is. I mean, Motorius is going to be dead last. He's with the rail draw. He's going to be last. This is a much different race than last year when all the speed was drawn on the outside. The speed is drawn in the middle this year, and they're going to come over on him. He's not as quick as horses like Reef Runner or like She's So Spicy or the horses in the middle that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Well, Reef Runner's one where I feel like his last couple, he's kind of come from out of it, but obviously you've got him in the mix. So do you think he's got kind of that versatility to him where Tyler can have him positioned a little bit closer? By the way, in my heart, I don't want Reef Runner to win this race because there's a jockey that's supposed to be riding him and he's not. But anyway, you can
piece of shit. Sorry.
Whoa.
Oh, wait. Sorry. You're talking about Ayuso. My bad. My bad.
Anyway, yeah, I think Reef Runner, as we saw in the Green Flash, is faster than Motorius. If you recall, this was the horse that came over on Motorius and got the DQ after he outbroke him. And he is capable. He's not going to be close, but he'll be probably mid-pack, I would say, maybe slightly behind than that, further back than that. I was really surprised he won the ADD. I didn't like him in there at all. I thought the 6.5 would not be what he wanted to do. And he found a way to win that race. He also found a way to win the Green Flash. So maybe this is a horse that's just finally getting good at the right time. As you guys mentioned, the inside post can be advantageous. Oh, Ryan thinks he seems to be ever since he got snipped. Maybe that is. He isn't defeated.
3 straight wins. Well, 3 straight wire crosses first.
The unkindest cut of them all. So maybe that's really what happened with this horse. He just seems like he's one that's figuring things out. He's going the right direction. And if I'm looking at him, again, compared to Motorius, I think this horse is going to be much better price. I kind of view their chances equally. So I'm going to take the bigger number.
Ryan, why do you have him in third if he's got 3 straight wire crosses first?
He's meeting a lot tougher in here. And, he's going to have to class up to him. I know Motorius does. Arizona Blaze, I'm trusting, is going to. And, he classed up to the field last year in the turf sprint. I don't know that a whole lot of those runners will come back to do a whole lot, but at least meet Governor Sam. He finished third. So, Arizona's Blaze has finished in front of that one. I just thought Reef Runner was very logical. And again, saving ground, I think, is even more important than anything else in here.
Yeah, we talked about it, and you've got 1, 2, 3, so you're living down there in this race.
Yeah.
Jackson, we've got the 5 and third. That's Bring the Band Home, who I have to imagine is probably a pretty good sign that he shows up after he really, really packed it in last time in that grade 2 at Woodbine. Obviously, you're a little more familiar with that form. So if you're willing to excuse, then I'm willing to excuse.
Look, he was awful. There's no way around it. He was atrocious at Woodbine. I don't know what happened. He needs to bounce back, though, quickly. As you said, it was a good sign that he is here. If he runs back to the races 2 and 3 back at Saratoga, he's obviously very live and is arguably the horse to beat. The issue is those races, there was no other speed in those races. He was by far the lone speed, the controlling speed on paper, and that's exactly how it played out. And then last time he finally found a race with other pace in it, and he collapsed. So you kind of have to decide what you want to do with him. At 12-1 at the price he's going to be, I think he might be worth giving another chance to. But there's definitely questions he has to answer in this race.
Oh, I definitely think so too. And I think you're spot on. I mean, he might be the horse to beat, and maybe it's just a Saratoga thing, and maybe it's, to your point, a situation where he just gets on a comfortable lead like that and gets brave and runs those big figs. But I'm with you. It seems like there's going to be some sort of pace presence, and I feel like it could come from the outside too. And she's so spicy, we didn't really mention a ton. Who had stretched out to 6.5 after that layoff when they tried overseas, didn't work out, and then came back to Kentucky Downs. And I thought she was pretty impressive, but I feel like she's probably going to have to step up her game as well. So we'll move on to the next race. But in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, I'm going 1.85. Jackson's going 8.25, and Ryan's going 3.12. Next race, we got 2 more races to talk about. We've got race 6 and race 7. Race 6 is the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and let me get that up on the screen right now. Give me 1 second to do that. And that is still the turf sprint, but let me scroll down, and there is the dirt sprint. Tie Games Breeders' Cup Sprint, 6 furlongs for the boys. You can see the field right there. It's actually not all boys because we learned about the addition of the 4-year-old filly in the name of Copian, who was the second choice for Mike Smith and Mandela at 7-2. And then the favorite goes to the 10 Ben Tornado, the Florida bred for Irad Ortiz and Jose D'Angelo. Let's see who we're going with in this year's sprint. I'm going 6-1-7. Jackson's going 1-11-7, and Ryan's going 10-2. So we are all over the place. We've got 7 or 8 horses in the mix. I think we've got 2 1s, 2 7s, and then the rest are all different. So we'll go back to you, Jackson, because obviously you got to talk about your girl and what you think of her chances facing the boys. And that girl is Copian. So floor is yours, my friend.
This is a very fluid top pick for me. The rail draw is so difficult. It's difficult when there's 8 or 9 horses going the 6 furlongs at Del Mar. Now there's going to be 14 horses in there. Mike Smith is going to have to make a Hall of Fame ride if she's going to win this race. I mean, there's just no way around it. It is a significant hurdle to victory in here. But I do think at the end of the day, she is the best horse in the race. I'm going to ignore everything that's going on down there because he's like all over the place right now. I don't know what he's doing. But she is the best horse in the race. I think the 6 furlongs will be okay for her. And if she's somehow able to work out a trip from the rail, I still think she is going to win if she shows up with her best effort. It's just a matter of finding a way to get some kind of trip from down there. I don't think I would bet her at 7-2. I do believe there's a good chance, though, that she drifts up from that just because everyone's going to see the rail and see the depth of this field and go in other directions. I think if she's 5-1, I would still play her, but 7-2 seems a little low.
Ryan, were you laughing when he said that she needs a Hall of Fame ride? Because I know I certainly was.
No, Mike Smith is certainly capable. I was just stunned that neither of you had Ben Tornado in the top 3.
No.
I'm good.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, fair
enough. Good.
We'll get there.
Okay, we will.
Patience.
Well, you can talk about your top pick first, and then you can get to that. Have
you picked this horse before, Ryan?
There's no introduction.
Yeah, no, we you guys know I have to stick with Lovesick Blues here. This horse did everything right for me. I was there for the wedding. I want to be there for the honeymoon too. There is a scenario where the pace gets real hot up front. And if that were to happen, Lovesick Blues drew pretty nice. He's gonna be coming late. I just gotta hope that everything kind of falls into the hands of Lovesick. A lot is gonna have to go right. I'm rooting for Giovanni Franco. I'm rooting for Labraccio. And again, this is a bit of a long shot pick. I know it says 10-1 in the morning line. I'm gonna say that's gonna be up near 15 to 20-1. I mean, I don't see how Mulligan goes off at a longer price than Lovesick Blues. That's going to be really tough to wrap my head around, along with some others. But again, Lovesick Blues could get the pace set up. I like the fact that they did not train him up to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. They gave him the run in the California Flag last time out. Down the hill is such an easy race to run, and it's not going to take a whole lot of stamina out of you because you're running downhill for about 3/4, even maybe more of that race. So all that to say, he's going to need a pace setup, but I see a scenario in which he gets it. And if a horse like Imagination can win, then why can't Lovesick Blues? So I'll take Lovesick Blues. And man, I am going to be hard to deal with if this horse gets it done on Saturday.
You're already hard enough to deal with.
Yeah, I know.
As you guys know, I haven't read a ton of texts recently, but there was one interesting text I got a couple days ago, and it was actually from our good buddy Shane, and he said something along the lines of, "I see a scenario where this horse actually wins the sprint," and I'm like, "Oh no," but he's not the only one. Obviously, he's 10-1 on the line for a reason. Runs back to the Bing Crosby that we were down to see on the rail that day, and a complete hole in the wind did it here or there at Del Mar. And if he does it again, I think I would be at a loss of words. I think I'd be struggling to say anything if he just circles that field on Saturday. But
I would be struggling to say anything.
But I'm gonna let you guys decide which direction should we go. You want to talk about the favorite? Want to talk about the favorite? Let's talk about the favorite, and I'll throw it back to you, Ryan, because it seemed like you were pretty appalled that neither Jackson and I had him in the top three.
On the floor. What was that about?
Oh, that was me dozing off because I'm exhausted. But I'm back to it. I thought the PPs were just going to be on the screen, but I'm awake now. I took a quick power nap, rest of my eyes. How do you guys not have the? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how this isn't the most likely winner of the sequence that we're talking. Well, maybe not the sequence because we're going to talk about the distaff next. But this horse came back in such a nice way at Churchill Downs last time out. Won so professionally, and look, I get that there's some speed to his outside. Maybe that compromises him a little bit, but he's still a really good horse. And Irad Ortiz is one of the best dirt sprint riders that we have in the country, and he's going to have this horse in the right place. But I'm more curious why you guys don't have a horse in the top three that has never missed the top three in his career.
Jackson, my thoughts are Copian Price do this, Ben Tornado Price do this. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. I think it's. I mean, he can't be more than 2-1, right? Lower than 2-1.
No.
There's far too many interesting horses in this race for someone to be an overwhelming favorite. So if you are a fan of this horse, I am not. But if you are of the opinion that he is the horse to beat, then 5-2 or 2-1 is probably a pretty fair price. I don't know if Ryan would agree with that, but I know he has him up there.
I would want the morning line price. I wouldn't take shorter.
I see 7-5. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so, because I don't like him, and that'd be making for sure.
He's got every chance in the world to win, but do I want to find out at a price?
I wouldn't want to find out at 7. I wouldn't want to find out at under 5-2, but 5-2 for. Yeah, I would find out at 5-2.
Here's my issue with it. I don't know how good the sprint was last year because
that's fair.
There was all this speed signed on in the race, and that never really materialized because for some reason, Skelly didn't go for whatever reason. It was weird. And then Raging Torrent got out broke. And when that happened, Federal Judge got an easy lead. They went fast. They did not fly, but they did go fast. He got a pretty easy lead. This horse sat out on his flank, and then Train No Chaser was on his flank. So they weren't pushing each other. It was a fast pace, but it was not contested, and it ended up being just kind of a merry-go-round race where no one from the back did anything. And then in the Churchill Downs race, he came back and he beat Hear Me Song and Skelly, and I don't think anyone is mistaking those two horses as being major contenders in this race. I know he won that race by 5, but those two came back and were terrible. So I don't know how good that race was either. And now he's in a race where he has all of this speed to his outside. He's probably going to have to come from further out of it than he ever has before. And I just don't want to take a short price on a horse that I have a few questions about.
No, I'm with you. I pretty much echo the same sentiments. And boy, I kind of agree with you with the sprint, because if there was a scenario where a horse went by another horse, but they didn't really go by, that was kind of what Straight No Chaser did to Ben Tornado, because he can't really prove that he could pass anybody before that. And then I guess he passed him in the stretch, but I wouldn't necessarily call it passing, because hadn't really proven it before. And obviously Straight No Chaser's back in this race and was a speed and fade last time in his prep in the Santa Anita Sprint Championship, which is a race that we'll talk about soon. But yeah, I don't know if I really want to find out with those question marks at such a low price. But we'll keep it with you, Jackson, because you've got the horse just to his outside. That's 11 Mulligan, 15-1 on the line. I have to imagine that's probably going to go down a little bit, maybe a little bit closer to 10. He gets away from Bookham Dano, who was a bit of a bully over the summer at Saratoga. And then when he finally got away from him, threw in a real clunker in the forego, but kind of similar situation to bring the band home in the last race. I mean, he must be doing well for them to ship all the way across the country and try this race again.
Agreed. And sticking with last year's sprint, he was the one horse who made a dent from off the pace. He's the only one that did any running whatsoever. And I would anticipate that kind of being the trip he gets in this spot too, because he's not as fast as Straight No Chaser. He's not as fast as a 13. He's probably not as fast as Ben Tornado either. And being surrounded by all of them, I would think Pratt just takes back and makes one run with them. And as we said, this summer at Saratoga, he was really good. I know he wasn't as good as Bookham Dano, but Bookham Dano would be favored in here had he been targeting the Breeders' Cup in 2025. He's doing that for 2026 apparently. So with Bookham Dano not in this race, why is he not getting more attention? I know he ran horrible last time, but if you're willing to excuse that race where the pace just completely fell apart, he's run plenty of numbers that make him a major contender in this race, and he's going to be a double-digit price. I think he's very interesting.
No, I think you make great points, and I think with the questions that we have about some of the shorter prices, you're going to get very good prices on some good horses, and I feel like we're just kind of saying the same thing over and over in Breeders' Cup races like this where you get good prices on good horses. I'm hoping that Saturday is the day for Dr. Venkman. I know this is a bit of a wild card, and you might say that there's really not a number on the page that wins this race, but boy, is he honest. I mean, he finally gets off the rail. He had been struggling with the rail all the way back since the Kelly's Landing at Churchill, where he maybe got a questionable ride that day on the rail in the Bing Crosby. He finally got it done on the rail in the Pat O'Brien. And then last time, I feel like if you're a fan of Imagination, you kind of have to like him too, because he didn't really break all that well. Obviously, he was down on the inside. But then he made like this middle sustained move from after the first furlong to the far turn, where he was moving considerably faster than Straight No Chaser was. And Straight No Chaser, as we all saw, packed it in. And I thought he stayed on pretty well. Now I know Imagination was wide and he was off the layoff or whatever, but I feel like he ran maybe not as good, but I thought it was pretty comparable. So I wanted to give him a look. He always just been super hard knocking. Like we said, we've got questions about some of these favorites. You got a couple horses in here with some big figs that I don't necessarily trust. He's very consistent. He's some horses that he's very comparable to some horses that we've talked about in some other races where he's a very good bet to finish in the money. I'm going to give him a shot at the win end. I think 15-1, you might even get more than that. It might be closer to 20. Likes it here at Del Mar. And the last thing I'll say, boy, would I hope that Umberto pulls off one of these races just to stick it to the Eclipse owners. I mean, I would just absolutely love that. That would be awesome. If I miss every bet and Rispoli wins like 3 races the weekend, then I would be the happiest man alive. The decision is for another show, but just the way it was handled was a little frustrating for a guy who likes to support our West Coast jockeys. So you guys think I'm crazy with the Vankman pick?
I think you're right that you'll probably get more than 15-1. And look, the scenario where he wins is probably a pace collapse, right? And in that scenario, it doesn't really matter how fast his numbers are because their field will be coming back to him. So at the number he's going to be, I don't mind it at all.
Correct. I agree.
All right. Well, we can talk about Vanishing, who's a big price. I know there's some other big prices at Imagination we've got in third. Jackson is probably the last horse we'll talk about, but we'll let Ryan get his fair share on Vanishing, who's been switched over from Jacobson to Chad Summers. Chad Summers has a couple horses I know running in this year's Breeders' Cup. We want to talk about honest and hard knocking. I mean, he's almost reaching the $2 million mark. He's won at 1.1 miles. He's won at 6.5. He's just so damn honest. And if he gets a piece of this, boy, I really wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, not only is he won at 6.5 and 1.1 miles, he's also won at 6, 7, 8, and 8.5. So nice. That should be a drink. I mean, that should be a drink. I did tee you up there.
City.
I'm gonna call him No Tawny. Anyway, Vanishing. First, only switched to Chad Summers temporarily. It was announced earlier today David Jacobson was unable to get like workers' comp papers or something like that. So that was the reason for the trainer switch. So it'll go back after this race. But anyway, very hard trying horse. Every race, every distance, every track, every whatever it is, he runs his race and he runs a different style. He can be placed wherever, which is why I kind of like him in here. He drew nicely to the inside. He clearly does not mind kickback. He was inside on Derby Day, where we know that wasn't the place to be, and he still finished on great to finish second by a neck. That was one of his better efforts, if you ask me. But on top of that, I mean, I don't know. I want a hard-knocking, consistent horse in a race like this. I know he's going to be coming into it well. You can trust him. And while maybe he's not going to win the race, he's going to be on all my tickets. But if he's not going to win the race, he'll finish in the money, and he's going to be a good price. I hope he drifts up a little bit more. You don't have to use your imagination to see that he's going to run a really nice one.
What a segue. Dude's been hosting all day. He was ready for that one. Imagination, Jackson, we've got in third. Frankly, I don't really know what to make of the Santa Anita Sprint Championship. Was it a good race? Was that last race a fluke? Was it legit off the layoff? Is he going to step forward? I really have no idea, but I like Vankman, so I feel like by default I got to like him at least a little bit.
Potentially. I mean, I will say he's going to be a third of the price as your top pick, so there's definitely that to consider. He ran really well in that race. From my understanding, he was not supposed to run in there until like the day of entries. They were going to run an allowance race, but he was doing so good. They're like, okay, we'll see what happens. And JJ rode him like he was going to win the whole time. And I don't even save ground. I'm going to go 5 wide, and it's not going to matter. And it didn't. He won that race very convincingly, and he did it while lugging in the entire stretch. So I do think there's a move forward from this horse after the layoff. And I do think if they can figure out whatever it was that was causing him to lug in, that's potentially even another step forward. So I think he has a shot to make a lot of noise in here. I view him as one of the more likely winners of this race. 6-1 is a little bit too low for me to have him on top, but he's certainly a player in this race.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so, but we'll go ahead and move on to our finale. But in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, I'm going 6-1-7, Jackson's going 1-11-7, and Ryan's going 3-10-2. Our finale, like I said, is race 7. It is the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff. It is on the screen now, a mile and an eighth for the fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And we've got a big field this year, field of 13. And the morning line favorite is the number 8 Seismic Beauty for Juan Hernandez and Bob Baffert. She's at 9-5 on the morning line. Second choice at 4-1 goes all the way to the inside in the number 1 Nitrogen for Jose Ortiz and Mark Cassie. And then the third choice towards the outside in the number 12 Dorth Vader for John Velasquez and George Weaver. There are picks up on the screen, and we're not messing around. We're really crazy 8s in here. I'm going 8-5-11. Jackson's going 8-12-13, and Ryan's going 8-2-3. So we're all very similar on top, but not one of us has the same second or third choice. So we're all trying to get creative, maybe play some exactas or such. We'll go to Ryan to talk about this runner. I know Jackson likes her a lot, but because of the order and he got to talk about his girl Copian, he can't have 2 girls, so we'll throw it to Ryan. Ryan, what do you like most about Seismic Beauty?
Yeah, well, I mean, he could have 2 girls if he was Mormon, but that's a topic for another day. Look, I think our picks tell the story here, right? I mean, it is very clearly Seismic Beauty, and then it is a crapshoot of who finishes in second. It's a mess of inconsistent horses, and Seismic Beauty towers above the field on figures, and I know that, she's done it from, basically lone speed the entire time. She's drawn off and she's won like a nice thing, but she's done it so professionally. And as Matt Bernier pointed out, there's no Copians in this race. There's no Ricci's in this race. I don't know what you think of Ricci, but I mean, she faced a lot better last time. I don't trust any of these horses. They've all just been busy beating up on each other. So I went with the 2 fresh faces kind of underneath, but it is a very clear Seismic Beauty and kind of move on from this race. Now you can draw different pace scenarios where maybe, someone gets uber aggressive and tries to go with Seismic Beauty, but this is the Breeders' Cup. They're going to do what their horse does best. Juan Hernandez is going to make sure Seismic Beauty gets the lead. And I don't think anybody else is going to try and compromise their own horse in a race this important when getting second or third, especially for these fillies and mares, getting that kind of black type. I think that matters. So I don't think that they're going to try and, force the pace with a horse that, 1, I think is naturally faster. But 2 would then jeopardize their own mount.
Jackson, I don't really think there's much else to say. I guess the question that I'll propose to you is, is she able to sit? Is she just classy enough to sit if somebody to her inside is just really hell bent on trying to go for the lead?
Well, that's the big question, right? She hasn't really proven she can do it yet. And you see she has a loss at 2-5 when she was stalking on the outside. You could also argue she's gotten significantly better since that race, though, and that also came going 6 furlongs. So it's a tough call. She is drawn outside of all the other main speed, which probably helps because if she does break on top, she's going to just clear them all, and then she's gone on the front end. And if someone just goes crazy, then she'll at least be in the clear. She won't have any trouble. She won't get kicked back. So she's probably going to be okay from a pace perspective. And I think she's by far the class of the field. So I don't have much interest in trying to beat her in this spot.
So it looks like you might be trying to get creative with some exactas and such, and this is a horse that you will be using, and that is the number 12, Darth Vader, who I tried to put all my bias aside when looking at this race. I know Jackson and I needed her very, very badly to go by Anna, and I think she was actually by Anna at one point in the personal ensign, but the way the cookies crumbled, it didn't end up going our way. But anyway, she's another one that has been off for a little while, training up to the race. I guess David thinks that she's one of the more likelier upsetters to Seismic Beauty if she doesn't get it done.
I think she's the main threat. I don't like Nitrogen in the spot at all. I think she's 3-5 to miss the board. I would take 3-5 on her to miss the board. Darth Vader is the one that's dangerous because she has a different running style. If they do go absolutely bonkers on the front end, if there's some horses that messed up for the favorite, she's going to be taking advantage of it because she'll be coming from that second flight. The tough thing for her is the post 12 is not easy, especially with the style that she does have. She risks getting hung out wide on both turns, but I do think she is the second best horse in the race and the biggest threat to the favorite.
I like it. I will mention the stat that I talked about earlier. That was for August 23rd, and I mentioned all of those horses that have come back and were supposed to win, didn't win. So I'll just throw that out there. I mean, people that are watching and listening can do whatever we want that, but I think it proves that we definitely do our homework and we come prepared because I spent a lot of time, not just at Jerkins bounce, but I'm looking at the Travers bounce. So I know it's a little bit of a running joke with us, but we'll move on. Ryan, you've got some horses down towards the inside that you're going to try to get creative with in the exotics, and that's the number 2, Sarawak Rim at 12-1, and then you've also got Clicquot, who's 10-1, and obviously got some outside chances. You get attracting the likes of Irad Ortiz on this runner for Nacho Correas, and then Clicquot, who's I think maybe the wise guy horse in here, just your classic progressive 3-year-old. It's getting better and better, and hoping to take a step forward off of that win in the cotillion.
Yeah, Sarawak Rim, Nacho Correas. This is kind of a swan song in the U.S. I don't see, why he would bring a horse here from Argentina when he's going back there after this, pretty much after this month, to go train there full time as he's retiring in the U.S. Why would he bring this horse here unless he really thought she had a shot? And you get Irad Ortiz, that's a positive. This horse in the runs in Argentina, again, I don't know who she was facing there, but she was going 1.25 miles and she was winning. She won the Group 1, I guess, for like $27 in Argentina, but now comes up here running for a much bigger purse, but she does have that stamina and foundation. I think that goes a really long way with these fillies and mares. She's getting blinkers on. I don't know how much I want to look into that. That might just be I don't know how much I want to look into that one. I look into the fact that they got Irad Ortiz. I think that goes a long way. And yeah, again, it's just a bunch of horses that are beating up on each other in this field. So I kind of went with the 2 fresh faces, the progressive 3-year-old, and then kind of the question mark in Sarawak Rim.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too worried about the blinkers just because it feels like she's been in the States for quite a while now. So I have to imagine that, Nacho Correas has kind of played around with things in the mornings and the blinkers have been on for quite a while. I don't think like going into a big race like this, they would just be like changing things up last minute. And I'm not actually sure. Maybe that might be a program thing just because maybe they don't. Do they actually indicate if there are blinkers on or not in the Argentinian races? I'm not that
much of a degenerate yet. I'm sorry. I
don't
know.
Not actually sure if there's B's in the next to the weight on the program, but
it's pronounced Be. It's Be. So,
Oh yeah, Be. Jackson would know all about that. Anyway, Jackson, we'll talk about your third runner in Regald. 30-1 on the line. I like the like the aggression here with taking a big price underneath. It just seems like one of those races, right? Where, if it's not Seismic Beauty, it could be anybody. And even if it is Seismic Beauty, it could be anybody for second or third.
Yeah, well, first of all, I was trying to do you guys a favor and look up if that 2-horse has been working in blinkers. The answer is yes, she has been working in blinkers. So she's been doing it in the morning. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I agree. I think if it's not the favorite, it could be absolutely anyone. And I think if it's not the favorite, it's because the pace has completely collapsed. And Regal is, this is not just some dart. I think she's interesting at a giant number. She's 30-1. She's not going to get bet because she's gone post 13. And if anyone has a big kick in this race, probably her. And she has not exactly been getting great setups in her last few starts. The race at Ellis was very slow paced, and she closed and still nearly won. The race at Churchill, I know it says closers had the advantage in there, but that's not true at all. Royal Spa wired that field on a very, very easy lead. I don't know what that designation is all about. I thought she ran really well in that spot too. And I would even argue Royal Spa would be among the second choices in here, just based on what she's done this year. She's up there with everyone else in this race. So I think that race was pretty good. She finally put it together at Delaware. That's probably a field she was just better than, to be honest. But she did what she was supposed to do. She ran off 1 by 6. She keeps getting faster with each and every start. She's only 4 years old. Like I think there's plenty to like about her. In the scenario where the favorite falters and this thing just falls apart completely, she's a giant number that can come flying late at it and just blow this thing up.
I like it. I'm always looking for ambitious prices and things of such nature. So she's going to be way out of it. But if you get horses that are kind of in that stalking position playing chase mode.
The last thing I'll say is she's run the same figures as Nitrogen. Nitrogen's going to be 4-1, and she's going to be 50. Make it make sense.
Well, we've got no ones on the picks, Ryan and I. So obviously we feel the same. The 2 horses I'm trying to get creative with is a horse that is dear to Jackson and I's heart, and that's Dry Powder.
Mine too.
Why?
I crushed that horse at Parks. You guys take anyway.
Whatever. I feel like if you like Clico, you kind of have to like her a little bit, just because she was up and on the pace. She was pressing Macara in that cotillion, kind of made the first move. I thought she dug in pretty nicely, and Clico had just kind of had the momentum at that point, and it was a brilliant ride from Fresu, who I think is going to give her another ride again. And I like the fact that she's drawn to the outside. And then actually another horse that is coming out of the same race, Scottish Lassie, who, that was about as puzzling as a ride and intent. They had skipped a race at Saratoga to train up for the cotillion. And then out of the gate, Rosario's like this. They don't make any attempt at all to try to get the lead. And she's down on the inside. She's taking a bunch of dirt. I think she's quick enough to where she'll be in that second flight, and maybe Rosario can kind of get her to the outside. I kind of see her as the major threat to Seismic Beauty, just because she's going to be close. She's kind of shown before that she can stalk from the outside. I would have to imagine that getting her off of the rail would be of her benefit. And she's got races on the page like the Frizette and definitely the CCA that are right there with some of the better races that some of these other alternatives have run. So if I'm getting cued, it's maybe with an 8.5 or an 8.11 or something of that nature. But I think that pretty much wraps up our discussion of the distaff, unless you guys have anybody else that you think is interesting.
I was just going to say the ride on Rosario is puzzling, but the fact that he retains the mount almost makes me think that was by intention.
It could have been.
I feel like if he just strangled that horse out of the gate for no reason, I feel like in a race like this, he would have been taken off. Maybe I'm thinking too much into that. That's just like quick observation.
Yeah, no, I'm not pinning it on him. He probably wrote.
No, I know. I'm just saying I think that's a little bit interesting, and maybe they go back to better tactics.
I just don't know if he's actually that fast. And I know she wired him in the CCA Oaks. The horse that was in second in that race is Immersive. Nobody is confusing Immersive for a speed horse. Like, if that was just a 4-horse field that she kind of inherited the lead, that would be my concern for her. But to your point, Noah, if you think she can be third or fourth and still be effective, then yeah, go ahead.
No, I think so, and I'm kind of hoping that that's the case, because I do think there's some talent there, and she's going to have to show it to maybe try and compete with the likes of Seismic Beauty. But it's worth a shot at 12-1. So that's the direction I'm going. Picks are off the screen. Final banner is on the screen. I know I got to get to bed. It's quite late here on the East Coast, and you guys have had a pretty
back to work.
day so far. So yeah, Jackson's got to go back to
You've been
work.
away from work this entire time?
Fired.
Jackson's gone from his job, so he needs to have a good weekend. Ryan is very low on sleep, but he's going to be high on winning tickets and cash. So looking forward to this weekend. Of course, if you haven't checked out all of the rest of our coverage that we've done, I think we've got about 12 or 13 Breeders' Cup shows that we've done in total. 3 from us, a bunch from Betting and Boozing, and a bunch from Picks and Ponies. But for us, that's going to wrap things up for Jackson. For Ryan, this has been your host, Noah, on episode 52 of Pacific Horseplayers, talking about races 4 through 7, first 4 Breeders' Cup races on Breeders' Cup Saturday. And until next time, BHP out.